We'll wait just a second for everybody to get in here. All right, so we're going to show you a few different things today. We're going to show you some playable Guild Wars 2. We're going to show you the character creation in the game. Then we're going to jump ahead and show you some high-level parts of the game and show you one of our bigger encounters. But to start it off, we want to take a moment and show you our new trailer for Guild Wars 2.
Peggy 12.
Wars 2. So when we started off to start working on the game, we talk a lot about innovation with Guild Wars 2, and we wanted to innovate in 3 core areas with this game. The first is dynamic combat. We wanted to have combat that actually was action-based, that had a lot of movement, that had dodge rolling to avoid attacks, that you could actually use skills while you're moving around. You know, in a traditional MMO, you typically, you kind of stand in place and you kind of go like this, and you don't really move around very much. It's very much watching UI bars move up and down, watching UI elements pop in and out. And we want to get your attention and take it away from the UI and put it on the middle of the screen and see what's going on. It's a much more immersive way to play a game. And so we've developed our combat system so it's very action-oriented. It plays more like an action game than a traditional MMO. So the second area that we wanted to innovate is in the area of story. Your character in a traditional MMO usually does not have a story. You are a nameless, faceless warrior who runs around with an axe and kills things. And the world has a story, but no one knows who their character really is. If somebody asks you, what is the story of your character? Who are you? Like, I don't know. But we wanted to fix that problem. So in Guild Wars 2, when you create a character, you actually fill out a biography where you answer questions about who your character is in our world. Did you grow up on the city streets? Did you grow up as a noble? Did you always want to join the circus? Did you know your parents? Were you a member of the Ash Legion or the Iron Legion or the Blood Legion? Each of these questions and the answers that you give to them actually determine the personal storyline that you experience in Guild Wars 2. And this is much like the storyline that you would find in a great single-player RPG, where you actually have a story your character progresses through, that at any given time, you have one major step that you're going on next that tells the story of your character in our world. Now, to take advantage of this being an MMO, you can bring all your friends along with you and they can experience your story, and you can go along with them and experience their story as well. And the stories will actually scale up in difficulty, so the more players who join, the game actually recognizes that and creates the correct amount of content for everyone who's there. So each one of those story experiences is really perfect for the number of people that are there. Now, as you play through the story, you continue to make decisions and make choices that actually branch the story and change it. So even if you have the exact same biography as another player in the game, you may have a completely different personal story as you progress through the game. Just from levels 1 to 10 alone, there are 15 unique storylines in Guild Wars 2. All 15 of those have branching that branch the storylines and change them as well. So everyone can have completely unique and distinct stories just from levels 1 to 10, let alone all the stories that branch all the way throughout the game up to level 8. So the third area that we wanted to focus on was dynamic events. And we started working on these by saying traditional MMO quests don't work for MMOs. And the reason these don't work is they incentivize players to not play together. They don't change the world, they don't draw players in together. Instead, we've all had those moments where we play a quest, we're killing creatures in an area, and somebody else runs in and they start killing the stuff. You're like, oh, get out of here. You're stealing my kills, man, I gotta finish this quest. And that's not what an MMO is all about. There are a million players, millions of players playing these games online together. We should be playing them together, not incentivized to not be around each other. It doesn't make sense. So we said traditional quests as a core model doesn't work for MMOs. What can we do to replace that? The first answer was personal stories, so your character has a story. The second answer is dynamic events. Dynamic events are events that actually happen in the world, they occur for everybody, and they actually change the world and branch out to create content for everyone to experience. So to really explain this, I want to give an example so you have a better idea of what we're talking about. The Char, who are our giant, fierce cat people in the game, you can see one of them's highlighted up there. The Char is split into three core legions, the Ash, Iron, and Blood legions, which are the legions the players can join. And they're perpetually fighting a war against the Flame Legion Char, who are the rival Chars who have splintered off to form their own faction. So we have an event chain in the game where there's a number of forts and bridges and camps all aligned in a path leading up to one another. And the event chain begins with the players start at a friendly Char fort, and they move out and they try to take a forward camp that the Flame Legion controls. And this is an event that everybody can participate in. You know this is going on because in the world there are NPCs running up to you and in voice dialogue telling you, we need to take that camp, soldier. You're seeing siege weapons firing and bombs firing and shots going through the air, and you're seeing troops run down and attack this camp. And all of this is immersive and happening in the world. It's not something where you walk up to a guy, you talk to him, you read 3 paragraphs of text, he tells you this thing's happening, and you go off and it's not actually happening. In Guild Wars 2, these things are really occurring. And they have outcomes. So if players aren't able to actually take the forward camp back from the Flame Legion, the Flame Legion launch a counter-assault, and a new event kicks off where you have to defend the Allied Char fort against the Flame Legion trying to take it. If the Flame Legion take it over, they take control of that fort, all the merchants and all the supplies in that fort are lost, and that fort is lost forever until the players complete a new event to liberate it from the Flame Legion. Now this event chain moves down the path in other directions as well. If the Allied players manage to take control of the forward camp, the next event in the chain pushes them forward to try to escort mortar teams up above a bridge in the nearby area. And if you manage to get them up there, clear the area out, and get the mortar teams set up, now the mortar teams are going to start bombarding the main Flame Legion base that's off in the distance, and they're going to launch an assault on the Flame Legion base. All the time this is happening, you didn't have to talk to anybody, you didn't have to accept a quest. This is all happening in the world real time, and everyone's seeing and experiencing it. And the outcomes of each one of these events actually change the world for all the players. Now we've done a couple things to help support this. One of these is all of our events dynamically scale. So the more players who show up in an event, the more creatures that come to fight them, the harder bosses get, and bosses actually unlock new skills that allow them to fight and have abilities that help them counter larger groups of players. And this is to ensure that there's always something for everyone to do who's participating in an event. We've also set up our core reward systems to support these event systems as well. So if I'm attacking a creature and Martin comes over and helps me kill it, we both get experience, we both get loot drops for killing the creature. No one can kill steal from you, no one can ruin your experience. Everybody else in the game is there to help you. They're part of the solution. And they actually make events more exciting because they're coming in, they're making the event scale, and they're helping you kill things faster so you're getting rewards faster. So you're actually drawn to play with other players in the game. And it creates a really strong sense of community. It creates a bond between our players. And what we've seen from all these different shows that we've gone to is people playing down on the show floor start forming these sort of ad hoc groups. And they start forming together and they play an event together. And at the end of the event, one of them goes running off and everybody kind of runs off after them. And they all start playing together. And all of a sudden, you know, if this is a live game, people are going to start making friends this way. They're going to start joining guilds together. They're going to start building a sense of community. And this is what Guild Wars 2 is all about. It's taking the things in traditional MMOs that don't support what these games are about, changing them and taking advantage of the fact that we have all these millions of players in these games playing them. Let's bring them together and let's make it fun for everybody. So at a high level, that is what we're trying to accomplish with Guild Wars 2. And now we're actually going to show you a little bit of the game and show you how all the things that I've talked about actually play out in the game. So first off, you can see that we have 5 races here in Guild Wars 2. There is the Char and the Humans, and the Nord, and the Asura, and the Sylvari. And first off, we're actually going to show you a little bit of character creation for the humans. This is the most complete character creation we have right now. The game is in early alpha stage right now, so we're going to be adding a lot more options to this character creation as we go down the road. So you can see, right now you can actually adjust the height of your character. You can select from a number of different builds. Again, there will be many more different character options available here when the game releases. So you can have a thinner guy, you can have a bigger buff guy. We want to let you pick body types that actually make it feel like you're playing a character that's indicative of what you want to be, rather than everybody is a supermodel all the time. Apparently we picked the one body type that turns off the video feed in here. Gentlemen in the back, we have lost video feed. Alright, so while we're waiting for this to come back up, let's talk a little bit more about dynamic events, because I think that's a concept that is relatively new, and it's kind of hard to understand because it's something so drastically different than what you may have seen in traditional games. So I talked a little bit about that event chain that happens with the Allied Char forces fighting against the Flame Legion. So there are actually more events in the game that can directly affect that event chain. So there are 3 additional events that tie into that event chain that happen in a different part of the map that overlap with it and can change the content that you experience. So the first event is actually an escort event where you're trying to escort supplies up to the front line where this big event chain battle is going on. And if you manage to escort the supplies and get them halfway up the road, the Flame Legion is actually going to set up an ambush, and a new event kicks off where you need to stop them from causing an avalanche that completely blocks the road and prevents the caravan from continuing. And these are actually 2 distinct events that are running simultaneously in different parts of the map for different players to be able to do that overlap with one another. So if players can wipe out the Flame Legion that's about to cause the roadblock doesn't happen, and the caravan is able to keep moving along the road. If players are successfully able to escort the caravan, it's able to get along the road and make its way safely up to the base. Now, if the caravan makes it all the way and the rock slide is cleared and players get the caravan all the way up there, all new troops arrive, the troops get better equipment, and the allied char that you're fighting with actually are better equipped for the battles going on, and new merchants come available that players can buy stuff from. So we're back to character creation here, so let's talk a little bit more about what's going on in this. So, looks like we're still having some camera problems. Here we would be picking from... Oh, the resolution is off. So, here we would be picking between the various physiques that are available for your character, either being thin or large, or a little bit larger if you so wish. We can hop over and check out head options. We'll see if the resolution is going to support these right now. Okay, Mark's going to restart the client real quick and we'll see if this makes a difference. Sorry about the technical difficulties, everybody. Let's hit return. Oops. So just to clarify, this isn't actually a problem with the game. Some of you guys are excited for Guildwars 2? Yeah. How many people have played it on the show floor this weekend so far? Wow, that's a lot. How many people are going to play it before they leave this weekend? That's even better, all right. Some of you didn't put your hands up. Why are you here? By the time we're done here, you will want to go play it. That's our goal. And we'll see if we can get this to help. Now we are playing it in German. Unfortunately, I don't speak German. I can't help you guys with this one. Oh, English. There we go. It's a step in the right direction.
So we have to play with the board.
Sure, let's do it. All right. So this is the 1980s background blue selector. So keep your eyes on the middle of the screen and pretend like the blue is the empty part on your computer. So we're going to go back to character creation real quick. And you'll see here, you can pick from physiques for your character. This may sound familiar. So let's jump down to head options now, and we'll keep this going. So you can see there's a lot of different options for the heads that you can pick for your characters. You can also select a lot of different skin tones. For hair colors as well here, we'll get to skin tones in a second. But you can really get your character to look like exactly the kind of character that you want to make. Next you can select from the facial options. Again, there's going to be a lot more options available here on the actual release of the game. You can select a variety of different skin tones. There's a number of different facial hair options. For those of you who would like to get a little bit of this going, you can get that on there. Very nice. Alright, and face details. We'll jump down to that next. And face details, this is the point where you really make the unique looks of your character. This is the difference between a general character selector and one that really gets down to the nitty-gritty details. So you can set the size of your eyes and the angles of your eyebrows. You can do the placement of your eyebrows. You can really get exactly the look that you want to get out of the face of your character. You can jump down to your nose and you can adjust the height of the bridge of the nose and the size of the nose and the placement of the nose. We can go to mouth and you can actually adjust the lips and the width of the mouth. You can do upper and lower lips. And then you can take your character and you can give them a big old chin or you can give them a little chin, whatever you want to do. That's an angry looking guy, man. And then you get to actually select the dyes right off the bat for your armors. And there are 3 different color channels available for each piece of armor for your character. And something interesting to know that we're doing for GW2 is the game actually remembers the colors that you set on each piece of armor. And so when a helm drops for you in the game as loot, it actually looks at what color dyes do you have on your helm currently, and it auto dyes the helm for you so that everything suit that you're only wearing color-wise. So it's easier to just throw your clothes on and go out and look great. You don't have to take the time to custom dye everything. If you want to, you can go back and dye it more. That's totally up to you. Is this where we do our song and dance number instead? You want to just bounce it out again? We'll try to come back once more. Alright, so some of the stuff that we would be showing you right now, we'd be showing you a little bit of the char character customization. And if we get this back up, we'll skip over that real fast in the interest of time so you guys can see more of the actual game being played. What you would see in char character customization, you actually can select various fur patterns for the char, and you can give them leopard skins or tiger char. You can make a panther char. You can make a char who looks just like your house cat that you have at home. Whatever you want to do, you can get those looks and fur patterns put together for them. You can also custom select a lot of different horns. You can have cut-off horns, you can have horns that bend down or shoot out sideways. There's a lot of different options, and as always, we're going to keep adding a lot of options to these characters as well. But the char are going to give you a lot of different choices that you can pick from the stuff that you want to do. And when you fill out your char's character biography, and we would be showing you that right now, you would see that you would answer questions when you create your character about who your char is. And some of the questions that you answer when you create a character is, was I a member of the Ash Legion? Was I a member of the Blood Legion? Am I a member of the Iron Legion? And we talked a little bit about those legions earlier. We talked about that sample event chain that I mentioned. Based on the choice that you make there, that dictates the first event chain, or the first personal story chain that you experience in the game. If you're a member of the Blood Legion, you're out fighting on the front lines in the battles with the char. If you're a member of the Iron Legion, you're working on machinery, you're building tanks and cannons and mortars, and your personal story chain leads you along a completely distinct story to support that. If you're a member of the Ash Legion, you're sneaking around in the shadows, you're assassinating enemies, you're supporting char army supply lines, and your personal storyline will send you along on a personal story that ties into that. Now the next question you would get asked is, what is my character's personality? Am I charming? Am I dignified? Am I ferocious? And based on the answer you give to that question, characters in the world will actually react to you differently. So you could be walking through a city, and you could say that your character could be extremely ferocious, and a little kid might see you and scream and run away. If you're really very charming, a bard might start following you around and singing to all the other players about how great you are. And as you get conversations options in the game, you actually will get new conversation options that come available based on your character's personality. So for example, if you're especially ferocious and you get in a conversation, you might get an option to punch another character in the face right in the middle of the conversation, which obviously ends the conversation. So the next question you get asked is, who is my best friend in my warband? So char are organized into warbands. Those are their mini groups in their army. And in your warband, you have a number of different friends that you can pick from who is your best friend. So let's just jump ahead to filling out your biography real quick, Mark. Alright, so this is where you pick your personality: ferocious, dignified, charming. This is, am I Iron or Ash or Blood Legion? We talked about those. So now we get to the question of, who is my best friend in my warband? I'm particularly fond of Dinky, personally. And the choice that you make here, this character, this is a little bit of a spoiler for you guys. At the end of the first big battle that you have in the game, this character is the only one in your warband who survives. And this character comes along with you in the game. They have a unique personality, they have a unique voice role and speak with a distinct character. And they have unique lines that they say as you play through the game. So you can experience the game completely differently based on which friend you bring with you. The next question is, who is my dad? As a char, they really don't have that close of family units. Basically, a mom char and a dad char, when they have a char cub, they drop them off at a training center and they leave them there so they can learn how to fight, and they never come back. But in the case of this story, it turns out that who our father was is actually important, because we need to track them down and deal with them, because they've done something that we need to respond to. So the question is, was our dad a loyal soldier? Were they a sorceress shaman? Or were they an honorless char who had no warband? And based on the choice that we make here, that affects the second storyline that you get to experience in the game. And within that storyline, you make decisions that will continue to branch that storyline and change it for you. Then as you continue to play through the game, you're going to experience new storylines that continue to branch and change as well, and spread out across the game. So you can see here, this is a summary of who our character is based on the biography we filled out. We didn't see it, but Martin chose to be the engineer profession, which is one of the 7 professions available in Guild Wars 2. And this record here of who your character is actually available to you to read at all times as you play through the game. And each time you complete anything in your personal story, it continues to update that journal. So you can go back and read the journal and see exactly who your character is in our world and read their story. So let's jump in and we'll show you a little bit of the Char experience.
I am Char. In this world of constant battle, I am the deadliest weapon. I respect no authority, but the clenched fist of mind. With engines of destruction, we have killed our gods. We reclaim our homeland of Ascalon, and we planted victory banners on the graves of our enemies. Yet, if we waver, it could slip through our claws. Victory at any cost.
So at this point, the cinematic is actually going to branch based on the fact we picked to be Iron Legion Char.
Churning gears and the roaring of steam engines. I serve the Iron Legion. I build the future. I forge the weapons of Char's secrets. I've earned the respect of my comrades and forged alliances I can call on in times of need. My Legion values innovative solutions, efficient execution. Like our steel, we do not bend. Centuries ago, humans stole Ascalon from the Iron Legion. They paid for that crime in blood, but they usurped us even in death. Today, the combined armies of the Black Citadel will assault the ghosts that plague Iron Legion territory. I've been assigned to reinforce the bulwark. Let the Ash Legion strike in the shadows, let the Blood Legion die on the field. I am part of the machine. This is my story.
Alright, so we're headed now to the Char, what is basically the Char tutorial for Guild Wars 2. And a little bit of story setup here. Over the last 250 years between Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, the Char and the humans have been fighting a war. And 200 years ago, the Char armies got to the main gate of Ascalon, which was the capital city of the humans. And rather than surrender the city, the king of the humans shattered his sword and laid a curse on all the humans in the kingdom, turning them into ghosts who are perpetually sent to haunt these lands and protect them against the Char. So we're going in now to the front line of one of the battles between the Char and the ghosts here on the edge of Char territory. So you'll see right off the bat, Martin's able to actually move around and use skills. This ties back to that dynamic combat concept I was talking about earlier. You can actually dodge and roll out of the way of attacks. Now this gives Guild Wars 2 combat that action-oriented feel that we want to give out of the game. Right out of the bat, you're able to actually move around and show this off. And you'll see as he's using skills on his skill bar there, as an engineer, he's using a rifle. So the first 5 skills on his skill bar are actually determined by the weapon that he's using. In this case, the rifle.
Tribute Brimstone is ordered me to the crypt. Too torn up to make it. What's so important that the Blood Legion tribute was there? The ghost took Barrett, far more powerful than we thought. His army just broke through our defenses. Redlock's about to fight him head on. If he succeeds, it'll be weeks before the ghost reforms, and we can rebuild our perimeter. On my way. I don't like this. We won't have to scout.
And you'll actually see, as Martin is using skills and killing guys with his rifle here, the new skills on his skill bar are unlocking. So he's halfway to unlocking skill 2 already with the rifle. This to give the game a sense of very early progression. And you can quickly learn the skills for the various weapons and put them all to use. So when he's got that skill unlocked, he's actually going to get a net shot, which he can fire, trap guys inside nets and hold them in place. Skill 6 on his skill bar is actually his dedicated healing skill. All professions have a dedicated healing skill so they can self-heal themselves. And you can see just like that, he's already unlocked one new skill for the rifle. And each weapon that you get in the game allows you to unlock these skills in the same pattern, so you can learn new weapons and learn new skills as you play through the game. Skills 7, 8, 9, and 10.
His orders are down there,
are your utility skills and elite skill, and those are from a list of skills that you unlock that you can pick and slot in there as you get higher level in the game. So you can see Martin's unlocked his net shot now, so he's trapping that guy in a net over there. And it immobilizes any foe that he hits with it. And we're going to head down and we're going to find Ritlock Brimstone here, who is one of the heroes among the Char. And Ritlock is leading a battle against Duke Baronin, who is the head of the ghost armies that we are fighting against.
Baronin is so hard he will take a weeks to read here. Look out.
And just like that, we have found our first dynamic event. You'll notice we didn't talk to anybody, we didn't have to accept a quest, we didn't have to read anything. Literally, we walked right into this content, and now we've joined in a dynamic event in the world. And this event, just like any event, will scale in difficulty, so the more players that are here, the more waves of ghosts will come to attack. So there's Duke Baronin himself, and as a boss, he will scale in difficulty the more players who show up. Apparently he's scaling too much. So at this point, this event would actually chain into a second event where Duke Baronin turns into a spirit and he goes up inside of the statue that's behind him, and it kicks off a giant prop boss fight where it's this huge boss of a statue who comes out, and he has a number of different special attacks that he can use on the player. And one of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to send a message that Guild Wars 2 wants to do more with your MMO than your traditional MMO. So we put giant bosses in the first 20 minutes of the game, just like this guy right here. And he has a number of different attacks he does. He does a hammer slam that sends everybody flying. He does this scream here that fears you, and it summons ghosts who come out of all the nearby coffins when he does that. And then he'll also slam his hammer into the ceiling and make rocks fall everywhere. Just as he did right there. And you'll see there's going to be red rings that appear on the ground where the rocks are going to fall. This gives you an indication of the areas that you want to try to dodge out of to keep that sense of active, movement-oriented combat alive. Now this boss, just like any other boss in the game, will dynamically scale, so as more players show up to do this, the boss will gain more health, his abilities will do more damage to make sure that the fight is interesting regardless of the number of players that are here. So at this point in the game, we would basically head out into the open world. We could continue on our personal story and fight against the ghosts, and continue along the story chain that we picked because we said we're going to be an Iron Legion char. We can go out in the world and participate in many of the thousands of dynamic events that are scattered all over the world of Guild Wars 2. You can compete in PvP, you can explore the world. There are countless things that you can go out and do. So to give you a little taste of what the game feels like at a higher level, and to show you what it's like if you just go out into the world at a much higher level, we're going to jump ahead in the game a little bit here and show you what level 60 looks like. So we're going to take an Asura, which is our little diminutive race in Guild Wars 2, and we're going to play the Guardian profession, which is a little bit more of a support-based profession than some of the others, depending on which weapon set the Guardian happens to be using. And we're going to head to Sparkfly Fen, which is about a level 60 area in Guild Wars 2. Now the story here in this map is the Hylic, who are the frog people in Guild Wars 2, are on the edge of survival. The undead armies are pouring up out of the oceans and wiping out everything in their path. And we're going to the front lines of that battle to save the Hylic against the undead. The Solari have all gathered here to help fight with the Hylic to drive off the undead, as well as some very friendly Asura who have gathered in the area as well to help us out. So, we're going to show you one of the larger events in Guild Wars 2. Here in just a few minutes. You can see the Asura have a lot of character in their animations. It's really important to us to make them feel like they're a lot of fun, they're a little laid back. You can dodge roll them and they'll actually flip through the air when they dodge. Martin's going to show you a few animations here for them. That's their taunt animation. So let's talk while we're waiting here for this event to begin. And this is the joy of a dynamic event system. We actually don't know what's going on in the world at any given time. So since this event currently isn't going on, we're going to wait until it starts, and we're going to show you a little bit of other stuff until it kicks off. The idea here is that as you're exploring in the world, these dynamic events are constantly happening all over the world and changing the world for everyone. So every time you go somewhere in the world, you never know what you're going to experience. You never know what's going on. So the game is always new. It's always fresh. There's always something new to explore and discover. So for example, you could be down in this part of the map and run through here and you don't see anything. And then you come back a day later to play here and all of a sudden there's this massive event chain completely changing the content that's here. So we'll talk about the Guardian profession here for a little bit, which is what Martin has with this his Asura. The Guardian is able to put symbols on the ground, and these symbols actually provide buffs for any allies who move into them, and do damage to enemies. And this is the kind of healing that we have in Guild Wars 2. It's all very visual, it's all very easy to see on the screen. You're never watching other people's UI bars move up and down constantly. Instead, you're looking at what they put on the screen and how you can take advantage of it, where you can move to take advantage of it. So it looks like the event chain that we wanted to show you here is about ready to kick off in a minute. So you're going to want to keep an eye on the horizon out there in the distance. It seems some people know what's coming and have started to set up a few defenses here. It's worth noting there's a bunch of other players down on the show floor who are playing this with us right now. So there'll be a lot of players running around in here, hopefully helping this event scale up even more. Looks like there might be something in the water.
Something in the water.
Brothers, sisters, ready yourselves to quarrel is here now.
This is one of the little dragons in Guild Wars 2. And this is a dynamic event out in the open world where everyone can experience this, just like any other dynamic event in the game. As you can see, they obviously scale dramatically in size and difficulty based on the event. And this event has a lot of different layers to it. So the dragon will summon these guys here, the bloated creepers. And these guys will walk up to players, and if they get close to them, they'll actually explode, sending acid everywhere, and burning and damaging huge amounts to any player who gets nearby. So players need to work together to kill these guys. The dragon will also summon these giant bone walls you can see behind you. And these bone walls serve two purposes. One, they trap players close to the dragon so they can't get away from the creepers. And two, they protect the dragon from the turrets, as Martin is on right now, which players can use to bomb projectiles into the dragon from a distance. see a group of players that is protecting the turret so other people can be on the fighting. You can see Martin's jumped on an Asura turret here. Now if you're up in front of the dragon, it's a dangerous area to be because he breathes poison all over the place out there. And so this battle comes in a lot of different layers that are going on. There's one layer of people who are right up in front of the dragon fighting him up close. They're fighting off the bloated creepers, they're avoiding the dragon's poison breath attacks. There's the next layer of people who are destroying the bone walls, who are manning the turrets, and who are defending the turrets. If any of the turrets get destroyed, there are repair crews who come up from the back lines that players can escort and defend. And if the repair crews get up there, they'll actually repair the turrets so more players can get on them. Now finally, there's one other mechanic to this battle, which is the Asura Mega Laser in the background here. So let's go check out the Asura Mega Laser there, Mark. And you can see the laser is about to fire here any second. Players have defended it as it charged up. Actually stuns the dragon for about 20 seconds, opening him up so everybody can run up here and unload a huge amount of damage on him while he's stunned. Now this laser constantly keeps charging during the battle at various points of the dragon's health. You can see one of the loaded creepers has finished everyone off there. So at this point we're showing our down system. You get a last chance to survive. Other players can come up and rescue, as just happened right there. Or if you kill a creature before you lost your health, you actually would jump back up and you get your health back and be able to keep fighting. You can see the dragon has woken up from the laser and he's ready to keep fighting. And the laser is charging again now. So players need to defend the laser for the next minute and 30 seconds. And if they're able to defend it, it's going to fire again. One last piece to this battle that we haven't talked about, and those are Tuathl's fingers. So these are little tendrils that he summons up out of the ground. You can see one there on the right, actually. So, there's one right there. And these grab players and huck them back towards the dragon if you get too close to them. So players need to destroy these things before they get people. Many of them will pop up in the turrets, grab someone off of a turret and throw them back in by the dragon, and then the dragon brings both walls up and traps players near it so they can't get away. See, Martin has discovered a horde of undead here. And the other horde of undead have now broken the video.
Might be dead by now.
We'll see if we can get back in time to see him die. Hang in there. Oh, we're good. He's only halfway dead. So this battle requires about 10 players minimum or so to be able to do. It scales up to over 100 players in difficulty. So the more players that are here participating, the more difficult the boss gets, the more abilities become available to him, the wider some of his attacks go. So that's a big part of every single event in Guild Wars 2. Most of them scale down to a single player in difficulty. Some of them are really large events like this that actually require at least a couple groups there to participate to be able to do the event. The laser just fired off there in the background. And the reason I know that is because voice dialogue just told me we're about to fire the laser. I didn't have to read anything telling me that. There's constantly NPCs talking during this battle, giving me cues about what's going on, and telling me when the dragon's about to breathe to get out of there, and telling me I have to blow up the bone walls. It's all voice dialogue in the game. There is over 60 feature films worth of voice dialogue in Guild Wars 2. So everywhere you go in the game, you experience things in the most immersive way, which is hearing it through voice dialogue. See, Martin has placed one of his symbols down on the ground there, which is one of the Guardian's special abilities. And that creeper just blew it off what was inside the symbol. And another player recognized that was there and actually ran over and stood in it to get healed. And the dragon has responded and thrown up some bone walls to protect himself here. One of the other unique things about the Guardian profession is you actually have virtues that you can use. And these virtues, as Martin is showing right now that he has selected, provide passive buffs to the Guardian, but he can sacrifice those virtues and give them to all the players who are nearby to act as more of a supporting role if he chooses to do that. He can also swap weapons while he's in combat. So right now he has a scepter and a torch equipped, which makes it more of a ranged weapon. Now right in the middle of combat, he's able to swap weapons and go right over to a different weapon set. So he's going to swap over to a two-handed hammer. And now he's actually a frontline melee character right in the middle of combat. This allows him to dynamically react to what enemies are doing and what's going on in the battle, and change his skill set and change his role in combat, so he can actually react to things and play more with other players and support other players based on when they need it or when they don't need it. So in the interest of time here, we're going to go ahead and finish him off real quick. You can see he's stunned. That is the end of Tuatha Sunless. Well done. So, in the real game, this battle is actually part of a massive event chain. And if players are unable to defeat the dragon, he actually sends armies out into the map that start attacking villages and towns all over the map. And players need to defend those villages, defend those towns, and then launch a counter-assault to push back out to this beach where they would battle against the dragon. For the purposes of this weekend's demo, we've uncoupled this event from the event chain, so everybody gets a chance to fight against the dragon down on the show floor. But that's how that would actually play out in the real game. And as you saw, since you helped defeat the dragon, you get a giant chest full of rewards, and everybody gets rewards who participated in the event. And now a certain friend will sign off. Alright, so we want to take a moment, and if we have a couple minutes, let folks ask. Sounds like we have time for one question. Is there somebody who has one question? We got one in the back. Yes. Here, let's get in the mic if you can, please.
Hi, how's it going?
Doing well, thanks.
You know the dynamic events scale up to 100 people?
Yes.
Will the loot match as well?
Yes, they will. So I talked a little bit about how if multiple players are fighting a creature and they do enough damage to qualify for rewards for it, they actually get full experience and they get loot rolls on the table for them. Now that is true for any creature in the game you fight, from the simplest little rabbit all the way up to a super powerful boss. As long as everybody working together helps kill that creature, you all get experience and you all get loot. Now the events, like this giant dragon battle that we saw, use a separate reward mechanism on top of the one that we use for creatures. And the events constantly poll to see if players are actively participating in the event. Are they running around? Are they actually playing? Are they helping kill creatures? And if the players are actively participating, they count towards the scaling factor. The event scales and it sends more creatures and it makes things more powerful. And anyone who does enough participation in the event to qualify actually gets rewards at the end of the event, as well as the rewards they got for killing creatures. And everyone who participated in the event can qualify for those awards, even if there's 100 or 150 people participating in that event. As long as you did a reasonable amount of damage to the dragon, you can qualify for that award. And you get gold, experience, and a unique reward mechanism in Guild Wars 2 called Karma. And Karma is earned through participating in events, and Karma can be traded in for especially rare and powerful weapons and armors in the game. So instead of getting a very specific item for doing an event, you can play whatever events in the game that you want to do. You get Karma for doing it, and then you can go off and spend that Karma on what you want to buy, as opposed to having to find specific content that you may not want to actually do to get rewards. So the idea behind this is, and this is kind of a theme all the way across Guild Wars 2, it's choice. You should be able to choose to play the game that you want to play in the way that you want to play it. If there's events that you don't like, if you hate escort events, you should never have to do one. If you don't like item collection events, you should never have to do one of those. If you only want to play dungeons all day, when you get up to the level that dungeons kick in, you should be able to play dungeons for the rest of the game. If you love your personal story, you should be able to mostly do your personal story. You're going to need to do a few things on the side, but you can pretty much continue along your personal story path. If you just want to play PvP, you can go to our World vs. World Open World PvP and level from level 1 to 80 entirely in World vs. World PvP if you want to. If you just want to play competitive PvP, 5 minutes into the game, you can jump to competitive PvP and the game will unlock all skills, all armors, all weapons, everything, and give you all of that so you can play the game entirely like it's an online competitive game and you never need to play PvE if you don't want to. Now our hope is everybody's going to play all of this stuff and check it all out, but if there's only one aspect of the game or certain aspects you're interested in, the choice is yours to play the game that you want to play, and we want to offer you as much of a game as possible so you can play whatever it is that you want to do. And that reward mechanism for dynamic events through karma is a big part of that. Hope that answers that question. What's some extra? All right, well, thank you very much for coming, everybody. We really appreciate it. If you get a chance, stop by our booth, check out the game. I know some of you already have. If you haven't, there won't be any technical difficulties down there, I promise. So go give it a shot and play it, and let us know what you think. We really love feedback. Thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate it.